to your life.
Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Sue. Welcome to the short answer. We're in a different location today because. The reason that we're in a different location today is because I felt that today's message was really a little more intimate than the typical short answer. And I just felt like being on my own couch when I talked to you about it. So welcome to my home. And what I want to share with you this time in the short answer is something that is deeply meaningful to all of us. And as we are moving into various season changes in the course of a year, we have a tremendous opportunity in front of us. And as we are moving from one season into another, what happens is there are systems in our bodies that automatically engage differently. There are seasons in the inner world, just like there are seasons in the outer world. And it is so important that we begin to tend to the inner season as much as the outer world reminds us that the seasons are changing. And so it is fall time right now, in particular, as we're making this recording. And what I know about the fall is that there is a cleanse that is taking place automatically. It is a rejuvenation time, actually. It is an abundance time. It is actually indigenously the new year. It is a beginning. And it is so important that we grab a hold of what is upon us at this time and carry it through to the end of the year and carry it into the new year and allow it to remain alive. Even if you end up listening to this recording in the springtime, know that this cycle is always happening with you. And the significance of a cycle happening within you is so important for you to know and to be aware of it, because every time there is the idea that something is ending or that something is coming to a close or that something is shifting, it is so important to know that what is coming right after that is a beginning, that there is a cycle of creation and sustaining and deconstructing and creating and sustaining and deconstructing that is constantly happening in your life. And it goes kind of like around a circle, and it elevates every time it comes back around. And each time it comes around in the cycle, there is an elevation and a spiraling ever upward. This spiral is taking place in all of creation, all of the time. And within you and your life, it always means that what is happening right now is serving, and what is happening next will be serving even more. And then what happens after that will serve even more. And the significance there when it comes to dealing with changes in life, when it comes to grieving what appears to be a loss or what appears to be a transition in one's life that we don't feel ready for, or we don't feel comfortable with, to know that what is really happening in the midst of that transition is a transformation. And it is always the opportunity for a birthing of something new. Now, I've had some very close encounters with some very deep emotional experiences with some dear friends recently that have been going through some very significant experiences of loss and grieving and wishing that things could be different. And another friend right now that is sitting with her mother who is making her transition. My dearest friend, Dr. Scott, whose mother made her transition just about a week and a half ago. What is happening in these times is an opening, even though it seems like a closing. And it is so important that we understand all of this as we're moving into the holiday season, and we are moving into a time where memories come up and evaluations come up, and we start to think about things a little bit differently. We become introspective because it is a time of the year that we are being served with a very high frequency energy. Higher frequency energy is coming onto the planet at this time. The alignment of the planets, the alignment of the stars, it is all a very real thing, and it is having an influence. And when we go inward and start cultivating or just contemplating some of the things that we will be witnessing and experiencing over the months to come as a year draws to a close and a new year begins, it is so important for us to recognize that what is happening always, only ever, is a birthing. What is always happening with you is a birthing, is an uprising of some greater part of you than you were in touch with just a moment before. The truth of us is this: we are made of pure consciousness. We are pure love. We are pure light. And we are here in this body, in this life, rising up to the awareness of that through all of life's circumstances, difficult and graceful, joyful and challenging, all of them collectively creating one thing. And that one thing is an uprising of the truth of who we are. And when that truth begins to rise, it is destined to be free. We're pure consciousness rising up, destined to be free. What happens on the rising of our consciousness is that we get rising into what we reference the mental body layer of our being, and the mind is very busy. And perhaps some of you have seen me give this little bit of this talk before, but many of you have not. And this is what I want us to get, is that as we are rising, we attach to the mind. We don't go past it into the fullness of our being. We get hooked in to the mind chatter. And as the mind is busy writing stories and chattering all the time, it allows us to only experience a portion of who we really are. And in that, great difficulty arises, because when we are in touch with only a fraction of who we are, we end up in a state of feeling like something is missing, like something is incomplete, something is wrong, something is not right here. I need to know, I need to have a plan, I need to know what is expected. All kinds of needs start to arise, all because we're attached to this busy mind. What we have to do is learn to slow the mind enough that the true us, the real us, can unattach, unhook from this bucking bronco, if you will. And as it unattaches to that, and we slow down enough to feel what we're here to feel, which is our wholeness, which is so opposite of what we so often feel. When we begin to feel our wholeness, we can unattach from the mind. And the mind can keep doing what it's doing, but now we're witnessing it. Now we're in observation of it. And we can choose to engage or to not engage. We can choose to see what it's doing and actually start to soothe it a little bit. As we start to soothe it, what begins to move through us is the stuff that is necessary for this cycle to keep turning without us stopping the cycle anywhere along the way. The mind wants to stop the cycle because it doesn't know what's around the next bend. And so it wants to dig in your heels and make everyone else change instead of you going with the flow. It's a challenging thing, particularly when our hearts are involved and we don't want things to change. We don't want beloveds to leave. We don't want things that are unpredictable to be happening. It's not comfortable. But the truth of you is transformation. The truth of you is change. And so we spend our lives trying to be something that we're not really, and that causes great pain. Because the mind is based in duality, things are either good today or not so good today. I'm happy today, I'm really sad today. The significance of that can mean everything when it comes to our life experience if we're identified with this mind. And if we're not identified with the mind, if we're really identified with this stable, consistent, loving presence that we are, we're able to shed loving presence on the stories that the mind is writing, and we can start to disassemble them. because when we're attached to the mind, the stories that the mind writes about, I'm not going to be okay, I don't know what things are going to be like, it won't be the same, I won't have them near me, I won't be able to do the things I want to do, perhaps in completely unrelated circumstances other than these ideas of loss of a beloved, but maybe a job change, maybe a circumstance change, whatever it is. We're afraid of what's on the other side, and what's on the other side is actually our bliss, our elation, our relief, if nothing else. Because when we are attached to the mind, it is important to know that the mind lives in duality and it lives in limitation. And if you are experiencing limitation, you're in pain. The stories that the mind writes are based in limitation. They are based in fear. And because we believe the stories, we experience a fearful life. We have to shift this. We have to change it. And right now in your life is an amazing time to be able to do so. The reason that we're coming around the corner to the holy days, the reason that we're coming around the corner to what we call the holidays, is because the energy on the planet at this time is in great support of us creating transformation into wholeness. The holy days are changing our life opportunity into wholeness automatically if we just allow them. And so what's going to happen is things are going to come up. Things are going to flow. Some of them are going to be in the form of tradition. Some of them are going to be in the sensation of, I'd really like to have it be different this year. Or some of it's going to be different because there has been change in your life already. And the key is this: we have to embrace transformation, transition, the cycle for what it is. And it is our wholeness completely. So as we move into a holiday that is based in gratitude, thanksgivingness, graciousness, hospitality, engagement, family, the collecting of people who matter, whether it's your biological family or family of choosing along the way that you've gathered over the years, what matters most is that we are moving into joy and elation and graciousness, wonder and awe that slowly builds over the next few months. That you engage in a practice that is all about, let's count the blessings that I am. Let's encounter the blessings that I am, not only the ones that I'm appreciative of, that others have brought into my life, but what is it that I also bring into others' lives? What is it that I know about me? Not in an egoic way, but I challenge you in the next month between now and the time that Thanksgiving rolls around, that you encounter between now and then what you are grateful for about you, so that when Thanksgiving is upon you, it's easy for you to be in gratitude and for you to be grateful about what others are bringing into the life experience as well. Because the truth of it is, there's only one of us here, and we have to start where responsibility sits. We have to sit down inside of ourselves and recognize our magnificence. And if we're not doing that, then magnificence isn't happening. And if magnificence isn't happening, the gratitude that we will be offering up as the holy days come around the bend, come around the cycle, is going to be gratitude from the protective personality, from the ego, even if the ego is tamed and in its most gracious behavior, it's still going to be trying to feel the blessing. And if in the time between now and then, we allow ourselves to literally feel and sense, sit down inside who you really are, and stop hiding from the glorious, magnificent, loving being that you are. Regardless if people get who you are, regardless if people even notice the blessing that you intend for them, regardless if they ever know what it is that you are graciously opening to, forgiving, allowing, transforming in your own perception of who they are and what they mean when they say what they say. If you never get to say it to them and they never say back to you, man, I really got that about you. I really get who you are. I see how you handle things with grace and appreciation and never ending patience, it seems like. If they never turn to you and say that, what matters is that you begin to build the energetic constitution of this truth inside of you, not so that you can tout it or show your proud feathers in any way. It's not for that at all. It's for the idea of you building a high frequency energy inside your system, breathing it up and down through the column and the central channel that we work with in the Energy Codes coursework. And if you're in the coursework, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not yet in the coursework, get in the coursework so that you know what I'm talking about. Because the truth of you is so much more than how your mind begins to focus and how it begins to focus on letting love pour through you more consistently. The truth of you is a quantum loving light being that is made for transformation. And we need to know how to do that. And so what we do in the coursework is learn how to do that. And what I'm inviting you to do now is to do what you know to do. If you're in the coursework, you know how to build the vibrational frequency of love and gratitude and appreciation and joy and magnificence. When you look outside and you see the climate changing and the seasons changing and the animals doing what they're doing, fall into love with this and allow yourself to find that in a deep-seated place inside of you and start to build the constitution of that, because eventually you build up enough high frequency energy that you can pierce through your own primitive protective isms that you're seated in and you don't even know it. We don't know how it is that we're misinterpreting life until we raise our vibrational frequency enough to be able to perceive it differently. We can't until we can. And the truth of the matter is, we are in a seasonal change. We're always in a seasonal change. Right now, whether it is a fall time that you're listening to this live or a springtime that you're listening to a recording of this at some point down the road, digging into the archives because of your gold membership with this work, no matter, there's a seasonal change happening with you. And the way to ride the wave with grace and ease of this seasonal change is to allow yourself to build the constitution of your own magnificence. Get grateful about who you are. Stop hiding from your magnificence. When you do, you automatically start to lean into things that are life-affirming, thought forms that are life-affirming, nutritional habits that are life-affirming, exercise routines that are going to bring more life and vital force into you than you have known in a long, long time. We're going to talk more about that and some specifics that you can engage in as we move into the masterclass in just a few moments. But the short answer in this moment is about this. You are made of love. How much of you are you allowing you to experience, regardless of if anyone else ever got to know you or if anyone else will ever know you? The joy of this life experience is you revealing you to you. And when you do this, you start to see you in others. And when you do that, you start to see unity consciousness. And when that happens, you start to experience heaven on earth. And that is the nature of you and your life experience. We're moving into the holy days. Let's make them holy. Holistically speaking, let's experience the wholeness of our being. And let's begin now. I'll see you in just a few moments. For those of you that are visiting or just plugging in to the short answer, know that we're headed in to a very rich conversation in the masterclass, tying many different principles together and allowing you to reveal you to you in a much more gracious, abundant, and consistent manner. So plug in. We'll be right back with you in about 10 minutes. We'll see you in the masterclass. Namaste.